Hello, it is Dee Shepherd here, and we are at the Logging Lounge, SMJ Media Group, having the pleasure to interview Jason Reardon from Fleet Rock Orchestra.
Thank you very much.
I feel like I want to say, take it away.
And off we go.
How are you, Jason? What do you think of the surroundings?
I'm great. It's a lovely, cold, foggy morning.
It is cold and foggy today.
It is. And this room is fantastic.
Yes.
It feels like I'm not in Camberley. I'm actually in Liverpool right now.
Yes.
In the Cavern Club. We could be mistaken for thinking that we were there.
I know. We're right in the cavern, right in the heart of it.
I know. It's amazing.
This is perfect for you.
I feel right at home.
Yeah.
I feel right at home.
But you've got the vibe going on with the guitars and everything on the wall.
Yeah.
You might be able to educate me now. What guitars do we have on the wall, Jason?
Okay, so this looks like is that a Harley Benton guitar? It's a 23 fret guitar, electric, steel string. Yeah, it looks very nice to play, and I think that is a Gibson bass up on the right there. I can't actually see the headstock, but I think that's what it is. My apologies if I've got that wrong, but just from the side view, that's what it looks like. Well,
this guy knows his stuff, because I've just got to let you all know he never knew that question was coming.
No, I didn't.
So sorry about that, Jason.
That's all right.
So anyway, let's get out of the cabin and let's get back to Fleet Rock Orchestra.
Great. Yeah.
Now, just talk to me a little bit about Jason, who Jason is,
okay,
and how Fleet Rock Orchestra became the idea that it is today.
Fantastic. Yeah, so I'm a guitar teacher from Fleet in Hampshire. I've lived in Fleet for about 22 years now, lived there with my wife. And I'm a music enthusiast. I say enthusiast because I'm not professionally trained as a musician. I'm completely self-taught. Oh. And it's something that I've taught myself over the years whilst working around a real job, if you like. Okay. But I've always loved music. Live music has sort of been the heart of my life since I was about 12, when I got bought my first guitar. Yeah. And I saw my first band live.
Who was that then?
It was a band called The Offspring.
Okay.
American pop punk band. Mm-hmm. And I went to see them at Wembley, and after I saw them live, it changed my life, thinking, and all I wanted to do was to be able to play guitar like those guys. Really? And so I made it my mission to be able to play, and that's where I think that's where my love of live music started.
Oh wow!
Really, so going on to Fleet Rock Orchestra, so that started about a year ago, and it was birthed out of this idea of bringing local musicians together. I know that in Fleet and in the surrounding areas, there are multitudes of talented musicians. All you've got to do is go to a local open mic evening. Yeah. And you'll find stacks and stacks of musicians. Right. And there's also a lot of musicians who only play for themselves. Maybe they've never been invited to play in a band. Okay. Maybe they've never, been asked to play, or maybe they don't have the confidence to play. And I've always had a heart for bringing musicians together. Oh, wow. To meet each other and to play in a big band.
To create that community.
To create the community. And I quite like the idea of being the pioneer for that, especially for the people who, love playing, but they only sit at home and play. And I wanted to give them a chance. So it's a real community vibe. To play together. Also, I had a love as well of combining classical instruments with contemporary instruments. Oh, wow. So bringing like violins and clarinets and flutes and oboes and all that from your sort of classical genres of music, and combining that with guitars and bass and drums and keyboards. And
that live experience that you had when you were younger.
Absolutely. And kind of combining the two to make like a super band. Yeah, and so we tried it, and I put the advert out sort of last year, and before long I started getting responses in. Wow. We had flautists get in touch, we had clarinetists get in touch, cellists get in touch, plus guitarists and bassists, and before long We had about 30 musicians altogether.
Amazing.
And then on top of that, we had a choir as well to begin with. We worked with the choir. Sadly, the choir are no longer part of the band because we realised that trying to manage a choir and a
of course
orchestra was too much. So we had to say goodbye to the choir.
Okay.
But it's good news.
You still friends?
Yeah. Oh, very much. Oh, yeah. No, it was under good terms. It was under good terms. Yeah. It was
because I imagine that is a real job in itself, because it's all the different personalities. So for me personally, I imagine that there's a different kind of personality culture that goes with the classical artists.
Yep.
And there's a different kind of rocky sort of culture.
Yeah.
As in Rock 5, that goes with the guitars and the bass and all of that. So essentially, it's like putting two types of schools or two cultures together, or two different mindsets together. So
yes.
What was night one like?
Yeah, I think night one was probably the most nerve-wracking night of my life. Because I had all these new people to meet.
Yeah.
I'd never met them before. I'd only known them via email. So up until that point, they were just text on the screen.
Wow.
And you're absolutely right, Dee. You know, when you're working with classically trained musicians, and then you're combining that with, you know, rock musicians, you're working with two sort of different genres of I want to say people, but that's not the right word. Two types of learning styles, teaching styles.
Yeah.
And we had to kind of collaborate and find a way that would work, taking, you know, both into account. You know, I know a lot with the classically trained musicians, they're very much sight read. So that's like, they need the dots on the paper.
Okay.
And a lot of them can only, you know, can only sort of play to with what's in the music. And that's fine because that's how they've been trained. And if it's not on the paper, then they're not playing it. Whereas the rock musicians can't read music or only to a certain extent. Yeah. But they can improvise. Yeah. They know what key to play in and they know their scales.
So they're like feeling it.
Yeah, they play by feel.
Going off on a little bit of a tangent. Yep. All of a sudden there's a solo guitar going off.
Yes.
Clarinetist is going off, going, what are you doing? That's not on the...
Yeah, and it's been really interesting making the two work together, but it's worked.
Wow,
it's somehow we've got it to work. And
have you ever thought of working for the UN, Jason?
Yeah, yeah. I think
you'd be brilliant.
It's above my pay grade, I think.
So talk to me. So you've brought them all together. Night one, we're meeting the people. Yeah. Everyone's come in. What sort of idea did you have about how this setup was going to look? Because I see that you already have respect for the fact that there's the different styles and the different ways that the musicians respect the music and how they play. So did you already think, right, I'm going to have those musicians sit there, those musicians sit there, or did you think it's going to be the rock on this side, the classical on that side? Was this all like a finding it out as you go? Yeah. What was it like?
Absolutely. Yeah, I had no idea. So it was literally, we just sat people down on the first night and see what worked. Yeah. And then the following week we'd have a different configuration. And if that didn't work, the following week and eventually we've kind of found a place for everybody, for where they can sit and from where they can hear. Now the thing is, when you have a big band, when you've got multiple musicians, you know, like an orchestra or a big swing band, wherever you sit in the band, you are not going to be able to hear everybody, because you've always got the person to the left of you playing, so you're going to hear them, and you've got the person to the right of you playing. And if somebody sat across the room, say you've got a flautist across the room, of course you're not going to hear them as well as you can hear the saxophonist sat right next to you.
Okay.
And vice versa, if you're sat next to the flutist, you're not going to hear. So sadly, there's not a perfect place.
Oh, okay.
You just have to kind of work with what you have, and do what sort of, you got to find that sweet spot for everybody. Okay. That makes sense.
And you've got a great communication going on so that everybody lets you know that this is sweet for me, Jason. Yeah. I'm in my sweet spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, funny enough, we're actually trialing a new configuration next year. Yeah. And we had some comments recently about how a couple of the flautists can't hear the guitarists across the other side of the room. And some, you think, well, just turn your guitar up, but it's not as easy as that, because then the person sat next to the guitarist, all they can hear is loud guitar. So
yeah,
we're going to try.
There's a lot of considerations.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow, which you weren't actually aware of until you stepped into this role. So your role, do you play in the orchestra as well? What's your actual role then when you're actually doing this and it's all happening on the night? What does that look like?
I sort of fancy my title as band leader.
Yeah.
So I stand at the front.
Okay.
I do play guitar, so I play acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
I'm just strumming chords, really. I leave all the sort of fancy music up to the real musicians, if you like.
His secret's out, everyone. His secret's out.
It is. Yeah. So I'm just strumming the chords, just to kind of, keep time, and to, just so it's got a basic chord backing. Yeah. But to actually lead it,
because it does need that. It needs a front man.
It does.
Because we think of an orchestra with a conductor.
Yes.
Or we think of a rock band with the lead singer or the lead guitarist. So, you've had to think about that, to think what your role is going to be with that. So do you sort of like lead them as well, like a conductor would as well?
Yeah. So I don't conduct necessarily, because a conductor would stand there and cue in each section of the orchestra at certain parts, and they would need both hands and full eye contact with each. Now, of course, because I'm playing as well, I can't do that. However, what I do is I do count the band in, and I do shout certain instructions. Okay. So normally towards the end of the song, if we're wanting a song to finish, I'll shout last phrase, and they know that there's only 2 bars left. Or I'll give like a wink to somebody in the band to say, it's you. Yeah. It's like, God, it's your guitar solo. Just subtle hints as to where we're going.
Brilliant.
Or if I want to do a repeat, I'll like wave my finger around.
Nice.
If I want to, just subtle instructions.
Yeah. It's all this covert operation going on here.
Yeah.
That the audience are totally oblivious to.
Yes.
But what is it like, though, being at the front then with the audience? Because you are actually the face, and you are the one that's got to build the rapport and build the energy when this is something that audiences haven't seen before. Yes. So how do you fare with that?
That's a really interesting question, actually, because funnily enough, as the band leader, my back is actually to the audience, because I have to lead the band. So the band get the audience looking at them, and I sadly my back's to them because I have to lead the band. But I do turn around and say thank you after every song. But no, you're absolutely right. Being at the front and being the one who has to introduce and speak to the audience, and it can be quite nerve-wracking, but I like to think that because I've done like public speaking before. Okay. It doesn't bother me too much, and I have enough confidence to get up there and to address audiences. It doesn't bother me too much, because at the end of the day, as soon as we start playing, the audience's attention isn't on me, it's on the band, it's on the orchestra, and that's where it should be. That's where I want it to be.
And what's the response been like so far then?
Oh, it's been so positive. It's been so overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
And, we've had such positive feedback from everybody, saying that they've not seen a band like this before. A band with, cellos.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I know. Not many people see bands with, cellos, clarinets and electric guitars and rock drummers,
It's celebrating everybody, isn't it? Everybody's got a place.
Absolutely. It's a celebration of all music, really. So that's what it is.
And when we think about your orchestra, who it's actually made up of, we've spoken about the instruments. Where do the people come from? So you said that they're from Fleet and surrounding areas. What's the sort of demographic then that you've got within your group?
Great, yeah. So we've got people of all ages. I think our youngest has just turned 16. One of our clarinet players just celebrated her 16th birthday.
Oh, wow.
I think literally just like 10 days ago.
Yeah.
But we've got people who are in the early 70s.
Wow.
And we have everybody in between. We've got people in their 20s, 30s,
that's
40s.
Nice.
So yeah, demographically, it's great. We've got them from Fleet, Hook, Farnborough. We've got a couple of people from Basingstoke.
Really? They're committed.
They are, I know, and they're faithful to turn up every week.
Oh, bless them.
And drive down the M3 to come and play with us every week.
Well, that must be because you've created such a lovely community.
Well, there we go. I hope so.
So if they're giving up the time, and now you also say, we've sort of like touched on the fact that you've had audiences respond how well they have. So that tells me that you've already started gigging in this year.
Yes.
So what does gigging look like? Where did you start? Where have you been? Drop some names for us.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, so I think we've had 6 or 7 gigs this year.
Wow.
So far, and not bad for year one. So our very first gig was at the Fleet Market in Gurkha Square, which was good fun.
An outside gig.
An outdoor gig.
Wow.
Which was
because
tough.
I'm just thinking now, and me and Jack are looking at each other, and we're probably thinking of all the electrics and all of the audio and the tech that you've got. So you didn't go for easy, Jason.
And it was pouring with rain.
Oh no.
And
sounds a nightmare.
Yeah, it was, and there was an electrical thunderstorm as well. We were 10 minutes away from calling it off because of health and safety.
Really?
Yeah, it was touch and go.
Oh no.
But thankfully we gave it another 15 minutes and it stopped, and it did dry up, so we were able to carry on with it. So
brilliant.
Baptism of fire. Yeah.
Well, I feel as though if you can go through that and you can hold your nerve on the first time, I feel as though you're probably going to be prepared for anything down the line.
Well, that's it. And then thankfully the gigs after that were a little bit easier. So then we played one of our locals, so the Falkner's Arms, which is a local pub which is known for its live music.
Falkner's Arms, they do a lot of live gigs, don't they, in bands and up and coming bands.
Yes, and that was a great.
So how was that? Because I've been there before, and I think there's always a great energy. I think that the community really support whatever the Falkner's Arms put. What was that like?
It was fantastic. So there must have been about 150 people there that night. It was one of the biggest for gig 2. It was one of the biggest crowds. It was a busy Friday night, and it was a lovely day in the summer, and it was very, very busy, and we got such a good response. Yeah. And what's funny about it is, obviously, because there's so many of us in the band, it was quite cramped. You can imagine when there's
said we were an orchestra, not a 4-piece band.
yeah, exactly. So I think there was about 15 of us that night.
Wow.
All kind of sat on top of each other.
And had you sort of like reduced numbers as well? Oh wow. So what's your usual number?
Yeah, so at the moment there's 19 of us in the band. So that's 16 musicians and 3 singers. So we have three singers.
Oh, so there's a change.
Yes.
Let's talk about that in a moment.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
So when you say there was 15 of you that night, all a bit squashed, I'm thinking sweet spots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was everybody still able to hear everybody better because of that, or was it a bit?
It was tricky.
Was it?
It was really tricky. Okay. Yeah, because of where people were positioned. I had some of the musicians after me after the gig say like I could only hear 3 people playing because of the. But that's just how it goes sometimes with gigs. You just have to take it.
But how did you feel though, as being the front man? So did you feel as though, and obviously taking into consideration the audience's response and interaction as well, did you feel as though, don't worry, you were okay? So did you give them that feedback and let them know?
Because I stand at the front in front of the band, personally, I could actually hear everybody.
Okay.
Because they're right all in front of me, panned out from left to right, and I'm facing them, I could hear them fine, and I could hear everybody. Everybody's level seemed fine.
Brilliant.
But just from the musician's point of view, I think Carl was sat right by a huge speaker. So Carl's one of our guitar players. You might know him. And I know Paul, our bassist, was stood behind a speaker, so he couldn't hear anything. Because he was behind a speaker. So, but I could hear everything. So, thankfully for me, I thought it sounded okay.
Oh, well, that's good. And also, it's good that you fed back to them. So, if they're in that situation again, that you've gone, it's safe, don't worry. Sounded amazing.
Yeah, it happened again, actually. We had a gig at the Electric Theatre in Guildford not so long ago, back in September.
Wow.
again, I was at the front. I could hear everybody just fine. But I had a couple of the flautists come up to me afterwards, and one of the saxophonists say, all I could hear was myself. I could, yeah. So it's amazing where, depending on where you are on the stage, you hear something very different.
Wow.
Depending where you're standing on the stage.
Is that a sound check thing then, or is that because of where they've been sat?
Yeah. So normally, if you've got a good setup, you would have a system of monitors of speakers that sit facing the musicians.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in that venue, there was just 3 monitors at the front. So the people who were sat right at the back, they weren't close enough to the monitors to hear. So again, but when you're in a 19-piece band, you're going to, unless you've got a top quality speaker and monitor system, that's just part and parcel. You just have to trust
they're
them.
growing as well, aren't they, in their confidence and trusting, and to know that what they're doing is working and it's all in sync.
Yes.
So if you were at Guildford then, at the...
It was the Electric Theatre.
The Electric Theatre. So that's like on the roundabout, isn't it?
It is,
Guildford.
Yeah, the centre of the roundabout,
Yeah. So that must have been tricky to get to.
Yeah. If anybody knows Guildford, it's not the easiest place in the world to drive around, especially if you don't know it that well.
So was that spotlight on yourselves, or were you part of, like there was a few gigs, or how did you get that?
Yeah, so we were actually the supporting artist that night. So a friend of mine, an artist called B.R. James, who's an up-and-coming R&B and soul
He's name
artist.
dropping it all today, isn't he?
Yeah.
B.R. James.
B.R. James. James, if you're listening.
Which you will be, because we'll send this to you.
No, so he's a good friend of mine. I've known him for a few years, and he's got a band. He's in he's got his own like R&B soul band under his name B.R. James.
Nice.
And they were doing a headlining gig that night, and he very graciously asked if the Fleet Rock Orchestra would come and support him on his his gig. So we felt honoured to do it, and it was good fun. It was really good fun.
Because that's another level in like an auditorium style setting, isn't it?
In a proper theatre with proper stage lighting and a tiered seating system.
Yeah,
it felt like, hello,
we're arriving.
This is a proper gig,
It's not in the Market Square in Fleet.
We're not being rained on. So it was that felt like a step up.
Amazing.
So that was a really nice experience.
And so you've mentioned singers. Now, before you said you got rid of the orchestra in the most nicest way, the choir. Sorry, you said no. Sorry, it's not going to work for us. But you've just mentioned singers beforehand. So let me know about the evolvement then.
Of course, yes. So after we parted ways with the choir, the lovely Asher Donners, who are still together to this day. My wife actually sings with them.
Oh, nice.
And they're a great choir. So little name drop there for you,
We've
Mel.
got some hashtags to put on here today.
We have. Yeah. Mel and the Asher Donners. They're a great choir. So after we parted ways with them, we were just purely instrumental rock orchestra for a while. But then after a few gigs, I think we started getting some feedback from people saying it's great just having the instrumental stuff, but it does feel like there's something missing.
Okay.
And actually, I must admit, in myself, I kind of agreed with them. I thought, you're right. As great as the music is, there's something that's missing. We need a couple of singers, but if but they need to be good, and they need to be able to be consistent. So we put an advert out. Maybe a couple of male singers, a couple of female singers, and before long we had a lovely lady called Enya, and she applied. Actually, no, she didn't apply. She was at one of our gigs that we did.
Oh, really?
She was.
Oh, Jason, it sounds like you're poaching.
Yeah. Funnily enough, so at the Faulkner's Arms gig, we played. We were the first band on, and then the second band on, Enya, our now female singer, was in the band after them, singing. And I received an email from her the next day saying, I loved your orchestra. If you ever considered a singer, I'd love to try out. So we did.
I like this girl.
Yeah.
I like this girl.
It's amazing.
She goes for what she wants.
She does. She doesn't hang about. And so we said, come along and try out with us. So she came along to our next rehearsal, and we just knew pretty much within about 6 bars of the first song we played, you're our singer.
Wow. So we've got Enya.
So that's Enya, our lovely Enya. And then I put an advert out for some male singers.
Okay.
So we need two confident male singers to co-front the Fleet Rock Orchestra.
Wow.
And then Jace, another Jason. Two Jasons in the band. Good name.
Jason 1 and Jason 2.
Yeah, and then yeah, that's it. And then I'm Jason 1.
Yeah,
sorry, Jace. And then Danny got in touch as well. And what's great is that although we have two male singers, they both bring different qualities. So Jace is the more sort of who's got the low, boomy, powerful voice. You can really hit like the Tom Jones numbers.
Oh, nice.
And, you know, like the Elvis Presley numbers. And
oh, right. I've got a vision now. I've got a vision.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Danny's voice is it's a little bit softer and which is what you and he's got a bit of a higher range.
Okay.
So for the more sort of delicate songs and the songs that require more of a higher voice from Al, that Danny's voice is perfect for
I'm
that.
thinking Baker Street.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Baker Street, think, you know, and what else does he do? Oh, he sings a Spaceman Came Traveling. He sings that as well. A few others that he sings on. And so where we have these three singers, we have three very different dynamics.
Nice.
And they all harmonise beautifully with each other as well. So we, you know, three singers, but completely different, you know, vocal styles.
Yeah.
And that's all we need.
And I love that. That's like 3 extra instruments.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I feel our band is almost complete. And I'll say a little bit about more on that maybe at the end.
Why do you need a triangle player?
Yeah. Hey, we're auditioning next week.
I do tend to go off piece though. Ding,
Yeah.
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
So talk to me then. What's the feedback been since the singers have been part of the orchestra?
Yeah. It's been like completely different in a positive way. So it just completes the songs. So people can sing along with the singers because an audience loves to sing along. They love to sing along. Where we were instrumental, they couldn't sing. Because they didn't feel they had anybody to sing. But now we've got singers at the front. The audience can sing along.
Got a bit of participation going.
Yes, yeah. And they feel safe to do so because we've got 3 singers leading them. So it was a much needed element of the band that we needed. And thankfully we have now.
So are there any favourite songs that, you know, when it's coming that we're gonna get a really good involvement and interaction with the audience?
Yeah, so we do Tequila, which is a great song, which funny enough has only got one line in it.
I just thought that.
Tequila. Yeah, but everybody shouts the line Tequila. Everybody
Brilliant.
loves that one.
I love that.
Yeah, we've got like a couple of Adele numbers that we do, like Rolling in the Deep. That's always that one goes down.
Yeah, everybody loves that.
All the time. It's really, really powerful, that song. We do a Snow Patrol song called Run. Leona Lewis covered that a few years ago. And we do like
a beautiful song.
It is. And with the orchestra, it just works really well.
I bet that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does. It's fantastic. Yeah, and we got softer numbers as well. Like we do I Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis Presley. And all 3 of the singers sing on that. They have different parts. So it just, people love that one. It's just really...
So nostalgic.
Very nostalgic.
So thinking of nostalgia and Christmas.
Yep.
Hey, we both coordinated.
I know, right?
Nice. Got the memo.
Some snowflakes on there. Yeah.
Have you done any Christmas gigs?
Yeah, so we did a gig in Festival Place a couple of weeks ago. In Basingstoke.
Who's your agent?
I know.
It's you, right?
Me, yeah. I need an agent, actually. If anybody wants to manage us, I'm all ears.
I think you do quite well, though, to be fair.
Yeah. So we got invited to play at Festival Place in Basingstoke as part of their launch day for their Christmas stalls.
Oh, brilliant!
The turn on of the lights and everything.
Yeah, okay.
And so we pulled together a bunch of Christmas songs and Christmas music,
like you do,
like we do. Yeah. We had to learn it quick as well.
I bet.
Yeah, we had to. I think we did 9 songs actually. We got 9 songs in 4 weeks.
Hats off to them.
Which is
He's a bit of a taskmaster.
Yeah, we had to learn them quick, but I think we managed to pull it off, and that was great. You know, lots of great feedback, and Festival Place was just such a lovely place to to play, you know. And it was
a bit of a fundraising.
It was, yes. So we were doing a charity fundraising stint that day for a charity called George's Rock Stars.
Oh, wow.
Which is a charity set up by the parents and grandparents of a little boy called George, who unfortunately passed away. Well, I think he was around 5 or 6 years old. I think it's from leukemia. The idea behind the charity was when George was sort of in his final weeks, he had music therapy come to him in his ward, and the other children loved it. So they had musicians come in with like xylophones and little play guitars. Yeah. And they realised how much children love music and participating in music, even if they're just beating, you know, a glockenspiel or anything like that. Just it's such an important tool, and it's a tool we shouldn't underestimate in the development of children. Yeah. So George's Rock Stars basically pioneers and drives to bring music therapy into children's cancer wards, into hospitals across the country. And so we were fundraising for that day, as well as supporting the Festival Place festivities.
Of course, yeah, gosh. But I just love that you were able to link those two. Yeah. Where there's a lot of people there, but it's a festive time, but also it's a time to remember, you know, less fortunate people. Correct. Or people that are going through some proper hardship, especially with health, and that they're potentially on those wards. And I know that children absolutely love music. They do. So when we think of Fleet Rock Orchestra and how they've grown, did you say it's about a year ago?
Yeah, so we're coming up to our 1 year anniversary. Yeah, so our first rehearsal was on the 8th of January. Yes. I don't know why I remember that day, but it was very specific.
Apparently very significant.
Yeah, so we're nearly a year old now.
Oh, wow.
And it's just incredible what we've achieved. I agree. In year one.
I agree.
And it's just going from strength to strength. We've got gigs in the diary for next year already. We've got some press coming out about us. Come
on, bit more, please.
Oh, okay, yes, okay, yeah. So like Fleet Community ad magazine came to us about a week ago and said we'd love to write an article on you.
Oh, fabulous!
So we're having a full page article.
Ooh,
that's not to, excuse me, the pun, blow my own trumpet.
Do it, blow it.
Yeah. It's just nice to know that, you know, there's a little bit of interest in Curving.
They came to you.
They came to me, yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yes.
And how many doors is that magazine going to go through in the Fleet, in the surrounding areas? That's going through plenty of doors, believe me. No, so that's amazing.
Yeah, we're very grateful for that, you know, for that opportunity to do that. And it's just amazing to be able to be, you know, a part of that. And yeah, it's just good fun. And I'm looking forward to what year 2 entails for us.
Ooh. I am. I think we'll have to come back same time next year.
Yeah. Do a year review.
You can fit us in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We might be on tour by then.
Yeah. Oh, right.
We're touring in Europe.
Why not?
We can dream.
Dream, Jason, dream. We like that. Big. We like that. Yeah. But before we go, I want to say, is there anything else that you would like to share that we've not touched on that you'd like to share with your audience or with your fans?
Yeah, sure. Like I say, if we do have a couple of places open. So if you're a musician, we're specifically looking for fiddle players at the moment. So violin players or viola players. Anybody who's in an orchestra or runs an orchestra knows that string players are in constant demand. Across the country.
They're like gold dust.
They are like gold dust. And
we're calling all the gold dust.
So yeah, if you got, you know, and you know, we are no exception. So yeah, we've got a wonderful cellist, but we'd love to recruit a violin player or a viola.
Well, do get in contact with Fleet Rock Orchestra, Jason, or come to us, let us know as well at SMJ Media, let us know so we can pass it on.
Yeah, if you're free on a Sunday night, we rehearse every Sunday evening. So you'd be more than welcome to come along and try out with us. And yeah, I think, just keep an eye out for us. We're on Facebook. So yeah, keep an eye on us. It's really good fun. And yeah, we're hoping that 2024 is going to be a big year for us.
Really?
So, yeah.
I love that. I love the passion.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you had the idea and you put the ad out. So before you had all those thoughts that went, oh, don't do it, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
You've never done this before. This could go amazingly catastrophically wrong.
And I had all those thoughts as well.
Yeah, I bet.
I had all those thoughts.
But you know what? You pushed through those because you knew that original thought that was where your heart was.
Yeah.
Community, bringing community together, doing something for the community.
Yes.
And look at what you're doing already. You're helping fundraising.
Yeah.
You're being approached. You're doing Christmas gigs.
Yeah.
You're being asked to support people that are already on tour.
Yeah, exactly. And above it all, what's amazing is that we're not just musicians, we're friends now.
Oh, nice.
You know, we go out for meals together, we go out for shindigs together.
Yeah.
And it's more than just being musicians, it's a community of friends. And it's bringing people together that would have never otherwise met each other. And just to have that friendship and that community feel, my hope is that it brings joy to people. And my hope is that people will continue to enjoy playing in this band because it brings me joy.
Yeah.
And it brings me joy. And it brings me joy when I see other people having fun.
Yeah.
And they're turning up week after week because they want to. So long may it continue.
Yeah.
That's my hope and that's my prayer.
Oh, I love that. I'll say amen to that prayer. What I want you to think about, though, also is just remember that you're at the heart of this. You set this up. It was your vision. Everyone's coming to fulfill this, and it's because of what you're creating. And it's always from what's happening at the top that filters down. So it's because your heart is right in the centre of this. And I love that. And I love the joy that you are definitely bringing. I've heard great feedback from other people. I've seen feedback on Facebook about how amazing the gigs are. So I just know that that the next year that we've got, 2024, oh, we will have to book you in now, won't we, Jack? Getting booked in now. Else we won't be able
We'd
to
love
see
to come
them
and play.
otherwise.
We'd love to come and play here.
So that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So let's get you hooked up with Login.
Yep.
We'll speak to them, see if we can get a gig going on here.
Yes.
Get all of Camberley involved as well in the
Absolutely. Why
local
not?
areas.
You know.
So they can enjoy what the Fleet Rock Orchestra have to offer.
Absolutely. Yep. I'm all ears. So if you've got my number, give me a call.
So thank you very much, Jason. It's an absolute pleasure seeing you today
thanks for
and
having
hearing
me.
all about it.
It's been amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Hayley, and this is my book, Dear Anonymous. It's about mental health, my own experiences and other people's experiences, and you can buy it on Amazon, Waterstones or Austin Macaulay Publishers.